welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy, and this is Loam Pox. But not just any Loam Pox. This is the Loam Pox deck that made the top 4 of Eternal Weekend, a 15-round, 900-plus player tournament, and Loam Pox stood at the end alongside all of the other meta bullshit, 3 Forge decks, 3 Reanimator decks, Nadu Breakfast, and goddamn Loam Pox when the dust settled at the end of the day. This deck was piloted by Jacob Murray, and this list was submitted by Jim Monolith, both of whom are members of Legacy of the North. That's a squad from the Toronto and Canada area. I've done some promo with them before. I like those guys. I've done coaching with a few of their members, very much like the Legacy of the North crew. And I was very excited to learn that not only was Loam Pox making a run, but it was someone from that group. Awesome story all around. As for the deck itself, I have played this on the channel before. Like I'd ever miss a massive piece of tech upgrade for Smallpox. Please, you know I was on the scene for that. I have done a full league with this. I played it for one match in one of the basement battles versus Eco Baronin, and I'm excited I got to play it again, and this time with tournament resume behind it. The point of a deck like this one is the card Smallpox. Each player loses life, discards a card, sacks a creature, sacks a land. That sounds pretty brutal, but we have ways to break the parity. We can jump ahead on mana with Mox Diamond. We could get our mana back with Life from the Loam. We may or may not actually have a creature in play to sacrifice. We have stuff like Hogak and Life from the Loam that likes going to the graveyard from being discarded. And then when neither player is really where they want to be, we slowly grind out. Life from the Loam hits bangers like Urza Saga and the new, relatively new, Eumidian Hatchery. This I have described in the past as an inside-out Bitter Blossom. You pay life over a series of turns, and then in one shot get a bunch of 1/1s when this dies. This could die by being sacrificed to a Smallpox. This could die by getting wastelanded by your own wasteland. Unfortunately, you can only besage your opponent's things, so that's not an out. But we do have a few ways to blow this thing up on our own. The bugs can create a bunch of blockers if we need defense. They can suddenly be 5 power, 6 power, 10 power in the air and finish the opponent off in a game that's been close otherwise. They can convoke out Hogak. So can Orcish Bowmaster. Bowmaster, just a obviously great playable legacy card that also happens to provide 2 black creatures to get the convoke started on Hogak. There are 2 interesting things about this list. One I really like, which is that there are 2 Barrowglyphs in here. This is just kind of the go-to sideboard option of every black deck in the format. And Jacob decided to just put 2 in the main. Why wait for the sideboard? Let's do this right now. This thing gets the game over quick. It mills you, which is part of your strategy. And it's probably going to be huge because this deck's really good at putting permanents in the graveyard. One thing that I'm very curious about how this goes, there are only 2 Loams in this deck. Historically, when I've played Loam Pox, I feel like I wish I could play 6 Loams. But Jacob has leaned into Witherbloom Command instead. There's 3 copies of this, which in some cases is Life from the Loam at home, and in other cases is Life from the Loam Plus. It mills 3 and gets a land back. That feels like Loam, and that mill 3 is 3 looks at one of your 2 Loams. But destroying the non-land permanents and -1-ing creatures, I mean, that's a Flip Tameo, that's a Grim Monolith, that's a Chalice of the Void, that's an Orcish Bowmaster, an Ocelot Pride. I've been a big fan of Witherbloom Command on this channel for years, through the Dark Bant days, all the Loam Pox builds, Bug Beans. We love Witherbloom Command. And Jacob has leaned heavily onto it at the detriment of Life from the Loam. But there's also Malevolent Rumble, which does a similar thing. I have jokingly referred to this card as a 1-mana draw 4. It's like the better Ancestral Recall. If your deck's built in a way that it can use its graveyard, and you get to take a permanent, you make a spawn, which gives one of your 2 mana back, and then if the 3 cards in your graveyard are useful to you, like if you hit a Loam and do things worth loaming, or Loam land Hogak, Malevolent Rumble's pretty busted. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on the loam count. And otherwise, I'm just excited to play Loam Pox, excited it has a real tournament result. This rules. I hope you bought your Eumidian Hatcheries when I told you to 2 months ago. I don't know if they're going to spike, but it is one of those like silly commander cards that I don't know how often they're going to reprint this thing. There it is. This is Loam Pox by Jacob Murray and submitted by Jim Monolith. Let's do it. I'm on the draw in round 1. I am 1 land away from this being good. Like if I had something to discard to the Mox Diamond and then either Pox immediately or get Rumble going, this hand's great, but this is only 1 mana source. I'm going to mulligan it. Though I am going to remind myself, 26 lands in the deck, 1's already in my hand, so 25 out of my 53 cards. I'm less than 50-50. If this was like a 35-40 land deck, I might consider this on the draw, but nah. Or if it had a Thoughtseize to buy some time. You know, there's some reasons you might think about a deck or a hand like that, but we're not in that world. Okay, double Hatchery, double Pox, Bowmaster Wasteland. I don't think I need double Hatchery. I just think the redundant Hatchery is as likely to kill me as it is to win the game for me. And I would otherwise be bottoming one of the Poxes or the Wasteland. Okay, so we are against some sort of Forge or Post Planar Nexus deck of some variety. These decks frequently don't have basics in them, so I might get multiple shots out of this. And I am trying to just collapse them before they get off the ground. Once they're off the ground, I'm in trouble. I watched all of Jacob's top 8, his win in and then his top 8 and top 4 matches all in person at Eternal Weekend, and it was so much fun watching him Wasteland lock Mystic Forge. Like, Forge's hand was just like, if they ever got 3 or 4 mana, the game ended on the spot, but they just never had more than 1 mana. It made me so happy. Also makes me happy to rip another Wasteland. Let's keep this going. The Ghost Quarter might be as good as Wasteland, but there are also blue post decks that have like an island or 2 in them, and I don't know for sure that I'm against a deck without any basics yet. Okay, it is Cloud Post. So this deck likely does have basics, actually. I'm not going to Ghost Quarter this land. All right, Eumidian Hatchery. I drew a 1-drop. Might as well put it into play. I might draw a card one day. Okay, it is blue post. That's why I went with the Wasteland instead of the Ghost Quarter. Basic Island confirmed. Thundertrap Trainer. This is a Force of Will deck, unfortunately. Sink into Stupor. That's the next land covered. I'll probably just Pox here. They either lose their blue source or one of their locuses, and I get 2 fellas out of this. Boom. They will force this if they can. All right, Force of Negation, pitching, Sink into Stupor. Dang, if only I had another small Pox to cast next turn when it's even better. Though, this is the turn where they could go Ancient Tomb, One Ring, and I'm way behind. Planar Nexus. Okay, that's still only 3 mana. Tishana's Tidebinder is a card that Blue Post plays some number of. Interesting. All right, yeah, I can't actually use that here. I could Rumble into Bowmaster. I could also just, like, Witherbloom Command, pick up Wasteland. I think I want to consider that. All right, I'm going to do that. Witherbloom Command. I'll mill 3. I'll drain them for 2 life, just because there's no other modes here. Hit another Wasteland, so that's 3 of those accounted for. I'm going to waste them on their upkeep in case they have Tishana's Tidebinder. I don't want to let them curve out while countering my Wasteland. If they do anything with mana in this end step, I'm going to waste. But if they don't, I'll waste in the upkeep. Ghostlux Command. Target player makes a spawn, and Scry's X draws a card. All right, that can resolve. And then I'll waste the Planar Nexus. They scry to the top. Hate that. Tower. All right, 4 mana. Are we in the ring? We sure are. Okay. Orcish Bowmaster, save me. All right, Barrogoyf is fun and exciting. This is a green card. All right, Malevolent Rumble. Mox Diamond doesn't help. Verdant Catacombs to my hand, I suppose. And I am going to pass here. I could just play the Bowmaster, though I feel like getting them with a surprise is probably more useful. Even though they technically have more options here. If their hand is just good, they don't even have to tap the ring. All right, it's go time. Force of Will and Tidebinder are both really good here. Yep, had the Force. Force pitching Meringue River Regent. Okay. Cloud Post or Glimmer Post gains 2 life. Karn. My Nile Spellbomb doesn't work. Oh no. Engineered Explosives. Yeah, that one's really good against the plan I'm trying to make. Alright, I can no longer win this game. Had to keep them under 4 mana. I couldn't do it. Couldn't pressure in time. I guess what I do here is just play Barragoyf and GQ the tower. I could also leave up GQ, hit my own hatchery, get a basic. No, I think I want a quarter now, actually. Karn just represents so many messed up things if they have a planar nexus in their hand. And this deck does have a bunch of basics. Alright, Barragoyf, can you carry? Hard carry? Certainly Karn doesn't have a ensnaring bridge or anything that could answer Barragoyf in it. They zapped in Springs, which could have bounced Barragoyf and bought them a turn to do Karn stuff, so they have another plan, which is not surprising because the ring has drawn 6 cards already. Kozilek's Command, too easy. I guess I have to play this out because they have this ring dealing damage to themselves. Like, whatever. We'll see what happens. Another Witherbloom. Smallpox is pretty mid here. Witherbloom could pick up Wasteland, and I could threaten Wasteland, my own hatchery. Alright, I am going to Witherbloom Command. Target player mills 3, drain 2. Burning them out is actually my plan here. I found a Beseju. I think that's worse than Wasteland here. And I'm just going to pass and hope that somehow this works. Disruptor Flute in the end step. That's probably going to name Wasteland. And then I lose. I can't play around this. I can't, like, Wasteland, let them Wrath, and then just die anyway. Okay, they stood up the Flute. That's interesting. That means they're not ready to lattice me here. They're at 9. I'm at 10. My life total is better than theirs. Okay, Cloud Post represents Lattice next turn, if Lattice is good enough to win the game anymore. To be determined. I could Wasteland, stop Perfect Springs, change phases. That plays around Hardcast Force. Oh no, I can't Wasteland. I can't Wasteland anything. That's right. In my head, I was like, yeah, I can't waste my hatchery anymore. What can I waste? The answer is nothing. That's how the card works. That's what the card do, Yugi. Have I milled my Surveil land yet? No, I have not. So I can fetch Surveil. If I Mise Hogak here, I could actually do something really big this turn. Mortuary. Come on, 2 outer. Oh my freaking god. All right, Hogak in the graveyard. Smallpox. They're drawing in response, yeah. I mean, at this point, I assume they have a force, but that was nice. Oh no. All right, well, that's not like a good answer to that. It's good enough, though. I still died a Lattice. Though they do still have to kill me before the ring kills them. I have taken 8 this game from my own hatcheries. That is the backdoor of that if you can't kill the thing. They are now at 5 with a ring on 5. They need to bounce or replace their ring, or kill me this turn, or they lose. All right, stood up the Flute again. This is 3 damage. And they know I have Smallpox in hand. Stock up. And they've seen almost their entire deck here, but if somehow they whiff on the second ring, they're going to get away with this one. They still have a land drop too, even just playing Glimmer Post wins. Because I don't think I have 2 turns here, even if I somehow get 1. Planar Nexus. Post is good for 4. Kozilek's Command. They're still digging. Or no, they just exiled Hogak. They don't care. They have what they need. They exiled 2, made 2 spawns. They've passed the turn, though. With ring on 5. Can they remove their ring or gain life at instant speed? What's going on here? Oh, they could Tishana's Tidebinder their own ring trigger. Witherbloom Command, you don't say. That could get back Ghost Quarter. Okay, what's the sequence here? If I go black, black, Smallpox, right, green, black, Witherbloom Command, I mill 3, you lose 2 life. I could hit the other Hogak here, in addition to everything else I want to do. Oh, did they exile my Ghost Quarter with their other one? I Beseju, though. But that's too much colored mana in a turn. Oh, no, it's not. It's exactly right. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, it was really smart of them to take out the Ghost Quarter. Hold on. If I take Boseiju, Disruptor Flute, waste Planar Nexus, no, they'll have all their mana back in their upkeep. If Tishana's Tidebinder is the play, that doesn't matter. Boseiju is the one that lets me do the most here. Okay, I'll take Boseiju, play Bayou. I have to Boseiju first. I think I want to destroy Planar Nexus still. Destroy Planar Nexus. Third basic land confirmed. Change phases, might as well. They're doing something. Oh, okay, cool. Eldrazi Confluence flickering their Ring. Yeah, that's a sweet card. Okay, so Ring is back to 0 counters. They dug up another one with Thundertrap Trainer. And all I can do here is Smallpox and die. They even had the Force. Got me good. And they are attacking for exactly 5 here. And it's impossible to mess up. 2 life, though. 3 Witherbloom commands went upstairs. It was very close to being raced out. These Glimmer Posts were the difference between winning and losing the game. That's really cool. Tighter than one might think. Oh, this is a Scion. These are spawns. This one's a Scion. So that one actually has power. And the others don't. Okay. Void Mirror. Haywire Might. Chains of Mephistopheles comes in versus any One Ring deck. Baragoi versus any Stompy deck. Nile Spellbomb. Izarel. I don't think I'm going to be cutting very many lands here, ever. Grist is interesting because it can kill Karn and Ugin, but it's also just like a random slow untutorable thing. It's not like I'm a Zenith deck. Oh, I have Rumble, so it's as tutorable as anything else. A Fatal Push, no thank you. Hogak's interesting because it provides a ton of pressure, but it is also a graveyard-centric thing. But Life from the Loam is going to be a graveyard-centric thing no matter what. Force of Vigor is also worth some consideration. Like, this deck isn't particularly fast. It just, when it does the big thing, you're behind. I think my job is to attack their mana in their hand, not their artifacts once they develop them. I could shave 1 Mox Diamond versus the Karn deck. This is still, your best draws involve Mox Diamond, but with 3 in the deck, I still feel like I will see it relatively often, but I'm just less likely to flood out on them later. I think I'm going -1 Grist here. Boots feel really important. Bowmaster feels really important. Witherbloom Command feels alright. Yeah, with only 2 Loams in the deck, I have to respect Witherbloom Command as Life from the Loam, not just as Witherbloom Command, so that's a part of this particular build you have to be on top of. Alright, I think I'm cutting Grist. If my opponent resolves Ugin, I'm dead. Like, what are we even talking about? Let's go. There we go. Keep. Okay, Mox Diamond, discarding Swamp, Burden Catacombs, fetch Bayou, loam back 2 cards. This is a deck with Force of Negation. I'm just going to really hope they don't have it right now. That's disappointing, but they do have 4 cards left in their deck. And my hand is still 3 good ones. Or 4 cards left in their hand. Island. Alright, Wasteland doesn't kill that. Ay caramba. Alright. You got another Force of Negation because I've drawn both of my Life from the Loams. Easy money. Okay, is a Surveil worth more than developing Haywire Might? I think that it is. And I'll pass. And I could play around Tishana's Tidebinder here by fetching now. Like if they go Ancient Tomb pass, they're representing that. But I actually don't care if this fetch gets countered. I would prefer to get Tidebinder out of their hand for more important cards later. If that is what's going on over there. They're doing a great job playing on basics, though, under my looming Wastelock. Smallpox. That's the flip side. You can play on basics, and that's really good versus Wasteland, but basic lands stink to high heaven versus Smallpox. All right, what's the best sequence here? If I put Wasteland into play, I can sacrifice Underground Mortuary, discard Swamp, still be holding up Bowmaster. All right, yeah, that's the one. I guess I don't even need to play out the Wasteland first. They don't need to know. But in this case, I'm playing around Spell Pierce and Flusterstorm, which I guess they could have. All right, Smallpox. All right, floated a blue. Discard Swamp. Sacrifice Mortuary. They discarded Sink into Stupor, which is another land. Disruptor Flute. This is probably going to name Wasteland. They could name Life from the Loam if they're more worried about that. Like, let me waste them once. All right, well, I can answer that with Haywire Might at my leisure. And it's probably better to do it next turn and then waste them when they think that's not possible. Versus Tower. It's a shame my Wasteland doesn't work. Wink, wink. Orcish Bowmaster. Won ya. I'll dredge Loam here. And how do I do everything I need to do? Loam has to wait a turn is the answer. Haywire Might. Exile Disruptor Flute. They could have another flute in response here. But then they have one card in their hand. Yeah, Pox game. Keep them off of 4 mana ever is how we win these games. Yeah, it seems like Disruptor Flute is the most important artifact I would need to kill to turn on the rest of my deck, but Witherbloom Command does hit that card. So does Boseiju and Haywire Might. I'm not a believer in Force of Vigor for this matchup. Same deck, let's go. Pox is unfortunately one of those decks that's just always better on the play. There are decks and matchups, I mean, in Magic, it's better to be on the play, but there are decks and matchups where it's like, this is a slow matchup, it's not about tempo at all, the game's going to go long, I'll take the extra card, is something you could consider, or at least cope, rationalize. However, Pox just always wants to go first. Okay, I have plenty of black mana, so I'm going to get rid of the Verdant Catacomb, and I'm going to Thoughtseize my opponent, and then based on what their hand looks like, I'll play Wasteland or Urza Saga. Alright, so they have the Nexus. Consigned to Memory. Do I care about that? Not really. If they use a card to fight over one chapter of Urza Saga, I'll take it. I think I just take Kozilek's Command here. It's clearly the best card. And I'll take out the Tower just to make sure they don't top deck Ring and bury me. I would rather kill Planar Nexus in this deck because Post goes off on it and Towers go off on it. But I do have to decide where I want to place my risk. And I don't want to risk a good draw out of them, because that's what the whole game's going to be about. Passing the turn, I have Boseiju available. And right now they have to decide if they want to develop Thundertrap Trainer or counter Chapter 2 of Saga. Their mana is just awkward in that spot. Ooh, okay. They chose to develop. If they counter this trigger, then I can Boseiju guilt-free. Okay, they did not fight over that trigger. Pithing Needle and Lava Spur Boots are both things I've got in my deck. I don't think I want to develop the second Saga yet. I would rather get full value out of it over a longer period. They are untapping into the scary 4 mana here. I could Boseiju them down to 3 mana. I think with the constructs, though, I'd rather do my thing. Yeah, stocking up. Stock up into a gajillion damage. As I have a 2/2, 3/3, 4/4, play out Mox Diamond, 2 5/5s, equip Lava Spur Boots. I'm attacking for 11 next turn. This is where they can start chaining rings together and go really big. We also know they have Engineered Explosives in the Karn board. It's pretty bad for me. Smallpox. Well, I'm not playing that. Getting after the beats here. I could Pithing Needle the One Ring instead of doing extra damage. I think I just want to kill their ass, though. Lava Spur Boots, new Saga. And knowing that Engineered Explosives is one of their outs, I am not going to push too hard on these extra Mox Diamonds. I could put one into play, but it costs me my Boseiju. Glimmer Post, we knew that was there. They go up to 14 life. This is 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. Concasa Thundertrap Trainer. Good shit. Alright, let's see him. That's 2 blockers. But I'll have 3 attackers. Sink into Stupor. Karn is the card I don't want to see. They found 2 Sink into Stupors. And they are tapped out of Consign right now. Ooh, Thoughtseize. Interesting. I think I gotta know what's in that hand. Thoughtseize, Liu. Force a Negation, pitching Sink into Stupor. Okay. I lose Boseiju whether I play Mox Diamond or play Boseiju as a land here. The Mox Diamond makes my constructs larger, but Mox Diamond also gets cooked harder versus the explosives, which is the thing I'm worried about. Boseiju being in the graveyard is useful if I rip Loam or Witherbloom Command, where if it's in play, it's just in play. But is Boseiju ever going to be better than Wasteland? Probably not. Okay, they are dead next turn without a sweeper or protection regardless, so I'm just going to play the land and not play harder into a sweeper. That Thoughtseize unfortunately cost me 5 damage this turn because I would have been able to go wider. Okay, just 1 block. They must have the Eldrazi Confluence and they're planning on flickering their trainer. But that did let me push 1 extra damage through. Alright, here we are. You're in check, pass. Glimmer Post gains 4. We know Sync can answer one of the constructs. There's a lot of mana. Double blue. Meringue River Regent. This bounces 2 constructs. That's fucked up. Okay. 6/7. How do we beat a 6/7? I don't think it can be done. All right, big draw. Something like Loam would be great. Haywire Might, not helping. All right, so 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I guess I should be making the construct and trying to... Pithing Needle's going to name the One Ring. And I am big enough to trade with Meringue River Regent. I'll take that. 7/6 into your 6/7. Weird game, but I'm definitely behind. Ooh, they just went to 6. I'm so dead. If they're just not even worried about taking 7 in this spot, I'm cooked. This blue post also was very close at the end of Eternal Weekend to making top 8. There was someone on a deep run. I think they lost a win it in round 14, maybe even 15. Interesting. Okay. I could Witherbloom first. So what happens here is if I attack, they bounce 1 construct and block the other. If I Witherbloom, make them lose 2 life, play Mox Diamond. I have a 7/7. If they, they bounce the one that has Lava Spur Boots on it regardless. That's not going to work for me. I have to take this much slower. Witherbloom command, I'll mill 3 and I'll drain you. Okay, that resolved. I could get Urza's Saga and keep chugging on the slow. The fact that they didn't shove a 10 mana spell last turn is pretty big relief to me and makes me think it might be possible to take it slow. They have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana if I Wasteland Planar Nexus. Wasteland's just not what I'm looking for here, though I did just flip over a Life from the Loam. I could start getting control of their situation, but I have 2 diamonds in hand. If I develop Saga now and then Dredge Loam next turn, I can do so much all at once, and I just have to hope that I'm not dead in the interim. All right, I have no attacks here. They could also bounce Mox Diamond or just save the Sync to bounce Life from the Loam that they see is in the graveyard. If they have Kozilek's Command and just cook my graveyard here and make a bunch of 1/1s, I can't win. Right, they have sunk a construct. I knew that was going to happen. Oh, there's more. Disruptor Flute. Okay, so if this names Saga, I can exile it with Might. If it names Might, I just keep activating Saga and it's fine. So this is covered, but it does reduce my artifact count regardless. And they are at 4, so they really can't afford to F around too much here. Oh, I'm glad I didn't go for the Wasteland. Immediately replace the Planar Nexus. All right, end step, Haywire Might, this Disruptor Flute. If they have a second Flute, that means the only card in their hand is consigned to memory. Okay, Dredge Loam. Saga ticks up. Okay, there's the consign. They don't want more constructs in their life. I respect that. Loam targeting Wasteland, Saga, and Mortuary. Is Force of Negation the last card in your hand, or Kozilek's Command the last card in your hand? It's a lot of mana. All right, Force of Will. That one I can live with. If I Smallpox right now, they lose Thundertrap Trainer, and I lose everything. Yeah, that's not worth doing. They are hellbent at 4 life, though, and One Ring doesn't work. They've got big draws, but my engine is online and theirs isn't. Oh no, mana. Don't stock up. Don't stock up. Oh, that's so much worse than stock up. It's actually pretty close. It's comparable to stock up. No Orcish Bowmaster when I need him. All right, well, they went from 0 cards in hand to looking at 8 cards in a turn and get to keep 4 of them. That's a big swing, but again, Life from the Loam's in there. If they find a Kozilek's Command anywhere on this chain, though, they can Kozilek's Command for 1 just off Urza's tower and then exile the Loam, and then I'm doing basically nothing. I'm also out of things to tutor for Saga. And I milled over one of my Witherbloom commands. So that's 2 points of burn. That's not in my deck anymore with my opponent at 4. There's spending X mana. God, that sucks so hard. All right, yep. 1 big draw when you have this much mana can quickly change everything. And those are both my Loams. Or where'd the other one go? I thought one got exiled already. All right, maybe that was a different game. Hogak with no universe. I'm close to playing it. There's nothing to mill. What do I do here? I could Pox, which puts my opponent to 3, costs them one of the 3 cards in their hand, costs them their Thunder Trap Trainer. I don't think I can do that, though. All right, yep, that was it. That was the big moment. They had to find a banger, and by finding a draw spell, the draw spell had to hit a banger, and now we are just behind. All right, cool. I'm not winning this game anymore, GG. Really close down to the wire. This is probably a really difficult matchup, because unlike even like Forge has 0 basics. Like my opponent started this game on 2 islands, and my wasteland rotted for a while, and that at least gave them a base from which to function on. So this is probably a tougher matchup than the average lands-oriented deck for Pox. Great battle, though. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play in round 2 with this smooth Thoughtseize into Smallpox situation. I don't have an engine, but I have a lot of interaction. Thoughtseize Smallpox Wasteland could make the game completely non-functional for my opponent, and then we'll see what's happening when the dust settles. Beseiju here too. What I love about Life from the Loam decks is how many of the lands just do work. We just got stuff going on. I'm leaning on Bayou because Wasteland's part of my plan, and if they Wasteland me back here, like, freaking deal. Great. Okay. Counterspell versus Prismatic Ending. I want them to play Tamiyo. I want to cook their life with this Smallpox. I'm actually going to take Counterspell because now if they draw Force of Will, they don't have anything to pitch to a blue card, and Smallpox will get the full sweep on them. It's suspicious that I didn't take Tamiyo. They might take note of that and just develop here, but also, if you're a Tamiyo tempo deck, what are you doing if you're not playing Tamiyo? Island, Tamiyo. All right, they're on the hook. The only card that could matter here is Daze. And Counterspell and Daze are frequently not in the same deck, but we'll see what happens. Right, fetch another Bayou. I'm going to discard Forest here. I might discard Wasteland, actually, though if they are a 3-color deck, they might end up desperate for... no, I am going to discard Wasteland. I'll just take it. I will assume that this opponent has access to at least 3 basics, maybe even up to 6 or 7. And if they choose to play around it, I will just take my medicine. Discarded Flame of Anor. Okay, so this is just Jeskai Wizards. Bonder. And their hand is Scalding Tarn, Prismatic Ending. And that's why Smallpox is a card that people continue to try and to believe in all these years. That play was disgusting. It's nice to see a Witherbloom command, but I'm going to rumble. Baragoyf, there's that boy. Eumidian Hatchery is good against this style of deck, but, here's Baragoyf. We know they have Prismatic Ending in hand. Do we know that they can get to 3 colors reliably? Scalding Tarn. Verdant Catacombs. I think I wouldn't Witherbloom to I mill 3 they lose to. Because if I can grab Wasteland here, that makes their ability to get to 3 colors a lot worse. If they have sculpted up a fetch 2 basics, jam back to basics situation here, I have access to Beseiju and it's fine. But if they were planning to surveil this turn, I just cut that off. Now they know I have Baragoyf. I know they have Prismatic Ending. 3 basics, okay. And Teferi, you got it. Teferi targeting nothing. Draws a card. Come on, Bowmaster. Alright. This hasn't really gone my way, but let's at least force the action. Baragoyf, get in there. I have a Surveil land I can access. Yeah, Thoughtseize and Bowmaster were my good draws there. We're always happy with Life from the Loam. But Basic Mountain's really bad. It's just not a good card. And Basic Plains is frequently not much better. So, although they are insulated from Wasteland here, how much game can they play is going to be an interesting development as this game unfolds. Surveil Land, Mortuary. I don't need another Wasteland. I have one and it has a target. That's what I needed from it. Drawing Saga would be insane. Loam would be insane. Bowmaster is insane. Rumble's pretty good. Fatal Push. Can't imagine a card much worse than that one. If I had taken Eumidian Hatchery off of that Malevolent Rumble instead of Barrogoyf, I could have Witherbloom commanded back Wasteland, or I had the Wasteland in play anyway. I could have eventually built up to a spot where that's a thing I could do. I do love Thoughtseize, but I generally like to Thoughtseize when I'm about to do something. I will play out Boseiju. I don't think they're going to have targets for that. Or I literally just said back to basics. All right, that was a bad play. Busy thinking about my previous bad play and ran into this one. Loam Pox is not a forgiving deck. You do have to play really well. Okay, well, this is why we held on to the Thoughtseize. Plow, Force, Force. All right, well, I'll take one of the forces. The other hand doesn't do anything. That's good news. Grist the Hunger Tide. And now we march inevitably towards Hogak. I can also just kill Teferi right now. No, I can't because they have Swords to Plowshares. Okay. Yeah, Grist it's a 2-part ability. There's the -2, which when it resolves, you may then sacrifice a creature. When that happens, a triggered ability is created that destroys a creature or planeswalker. Oh, cool. They don't know how that works. Hell yeah. Yeah, they could have just waited for me to minus Grist and then use the plow, but I basically got Swords to Plowshares on the house here because it is unintuitive. Generally, laying effects and Bone Splinters effects, the creature being sacrificed is part of the cost, at which point Swords to Plowshares wouldn't help. But that is not how Grist works. But I think Teferi is going to bounce this insect. Yep. Hey, they are representing Force of Will now. Oh, unless they cast a spell. Chase the Mind Sculptor. Oh no. Well, that's a good spell. Okay, I just went from tentatively ahead to miles behind. If I can make a creature and kill Jace with Grist right now, we're in. Orcish Bowmaster is probably one of my better draws here. Barrogoyf. Well, they probably have Force of Will, but I think I still got to go for this Barrogoyf. We know they have Force, and they just Brainstorm to try to find a blue card. Yep, Force pitching Brainstorm. All right, Grist, get back to work. Opponent is Hellbent, but you're never really Hellbent with Jason play. Despite a 19-card graveyard, there's only one creature in it, so Grist is not close to killing my opponent with Ultimate, even though she is already at 5. And Jace is over there spinning his wheels. This is an interesting spot, though, because they have to remove Grist or kill my creature every turn or lose Jace, and their deck does have a lot of air in it. A 1 card left in hand, plus Teferi, fetch, last card. What do we got? They're spending a lot of mana. Oh, is this 4th Aerolingus? That's so fucked up. All right, yep. Catastrophic. So now Grist dies, and my opponent takes the initiative, and because Teferi's still just randomly here, Fatal Push won't help at all. Okay, they're not introducing the initiative, they're just making sure Grist dies. Oh, they're doing both. Yep, that is the correct play. Cool. And exactly enough that the block doesn't matter. Brutal. And I can take the initiative back here, but that completely doesn't matter. Yeah, that's another thing about Loam Pox. Once the squeeze is off, it really doesn't matter what happens. Oh, cool. Hogak. All right. I am not winning this game. GG. It was tight for a while. Chains of Mephistopheles coming back in. Barrogoyf's in. Fatal Push can kill. We've seen Tameo, and there's only one push in the main. I think that's okay. Isle Spellbomb's not important. Grist is one of my better cards here. Hogak, turning the corner is really important. Hitting Needle can name something like Jace or Teferi, both of whom were part of that game. Smallpox is worse against decks without creatures, but it's good against decks with basics. I don't think I want Fatal Push. Tameo can shut up. All right, here we go. I'm actually going to make a change if I have time. I'm going to cut 1 diamond for Fatal Push, because my opponent will likely have Wrath of the Skies, Meltdown, maybe even Clarion Conqueror. Just a bunch of ways to punish Mox Diamond, and again, it's not something I want to flood out on. I like this hand. I'm going to keep all engines. Zoom, zoom, rumble, rumble. I do have to make a choice whether I want Hatchery or Saga online first. Like, I could start banking Hatchery bug counters as soon as turn 1. But if I do that and then play Saga on turn 2, then I can't rumble. I think I want to rumble on turn 2, which means I am going to develop Hatchery first, but I probably am just accepting that Urza Saga is a turn 3 play instead of turn 2. And do I want to start banking bugs? Probably. Let's just put them in there. Hey, Mox Diamond. Now I could do it all. I'm going to see if Mox Diamond resolves, and then I'll make further decisions. All right. Discard Urza Saga. How many things can I do this turn? If I want to cast Rumble and Loam, I have to discard Urza Saga here. Okay, that's fine. Rumble. I'll take Bayou, I suppose. 2 Wastelands to the graveyard stings a little bit. Bayou. Loam with 2 targets. The Wasteland does represent Hatchery. Beats, though. And I have both Loams in my hand, if they do have the Force of Negation here. Surgical Targeting Saga. Okay. I mean, that's pretty high impact, but it's not the end. I did have 2 targets here. But it is unfortunate that just it randomly didn't have a different land to discard that made my turn work. But okay. Barragoyf in hand. Eumidian Hatchery's online with Wasteland ready to target it. They've seen my hand. I don't have to bluff anything. I can get my F6 value. Snapcaster Surgical. That's powerful. All right. They get to strip all my Loams. And then I have to beat them with this Barragoyf plus Hatchery. But that can be done. Sweet play. For those of us who are around, Phyrexian Mana and Snapcaster Mage were in the same standard format together. That was the thing that people were doing, like Gutshot, Snap, Gutshot, Probe, Snap, Probe. I'm no stranger to a turn 2 Snapcaster Mage. Okay, now, do they have Force of Will? And is it good enough? 2 separate questions. As the Hatchery represents 3 bugs this turn, and then 4 bugs the turn after, and we'll see if their hand was built for a go tall and go wide. Having Goyf and Hatchery both ready to rumble here. It's a lot. For what it's worth, though, I think they should have snapped. Oh, no, never mind. I was about to say it's better if they snap in my draw step, but that literally is just not how the card Life from the Loam works, so they did it at the correct time. The only time where it would have worked. Okay, a quick fetch with their 3rd land. Prismatic Ending, Squeaky Clean. Do you have it? Flame of Anor. I cannot add 3 card types to the graveyard. I can add 0. All right, cool. That one was pretty good. Do I want to try to bank or just immediately start applying pressure? I think I want to bank just a little longer. Because if I find Hogak, getting that on the stack before Wrath of the Skies is live is pretty big. Pithing Needle. All right, I'm going to fetch first. Underground Mortuary. Ghost Quarter. I don't actually want that. I could probably take them off red, but filtering red into double blue or double white might actually just help them here. It goes Quarter to the graveyard. Pithing Needle on Jace the Mind Sculptor, I think. That might be a one of in the deck where Teferi's 2 or 3, but I just don't want to know. I don't want to see it. I don't want to deal with it. Consigned to Memory is the card I have to think about for interacting with Hatchery. They're now attacking. They didn't attack last turn, so either they can now answer Hatchery, or they realized I am on a non-aggro line here. Brainstorm. So if I make 4 bugs now, they're on a 4-turn clock. If I make 5 bugs next turn, it's a 3-turn clock, but I've done it a turn later. So that ends up being the same, so I should probably just not do it. Tameo, okay. Tameo is a reason to hold back. And if that Tameo ever flips and pluses, the bugs just don't work. I'm going to hold Beseiju, and this Bowmaster is honestly bonkers. Okay, so Tameo is attacking here. I'm going to go for 5 bugs and hope they don't have Consigned to Memory. Or if they have to jam Brainstorm over the top to save Tameo, then I get a massive sweep with Bowmaster. Obviously, they still have cards in their hand, so those cards might matter here. I got my bugs. Brainstorm. All right, I happen to have a floating mana. Bowmaster. That was unknown. Force of Will is fine here. Swords of Plowshares is amazing here. All right, I'll kill Snapcaster Mage. And then we'll see where Brainstorm goes. Hell yeah. Okay. And this stacks in active player, non-active player order. There's a trigger flipping Tameo, and there's 3 triggers that I can deal 1 damage to something. On my opponent's turn, Tameo dies here. On my turn, Tameo flips. So I'm going to put 3 damage on Tameo. And, I mean, they might just follow up with Wrath of the Skies that I lose all my permanents and lose the game anyway. But hopefully that was a big play that they were not ready for. All right, please just pass the turn. Let me have this one. No, don't fetch. That second white source is so terrifying. Yeah, basic planes. It's over. Supreme Verdict. All right, it's not as bad as Wrath of the Skies. Still terrible, though. I guess we play on. Surgical Eumidian Hatchery. So I have 2 Barragoyfs, 3 Bowmasters, and a Hogak, and 2 Hogaks left to win this game with. All right. Yeah, I'm dead. I'm good. I don't have to keep doing this. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the play in round 3, and I like the hand just fine. I think I should Surveil first. I could lead on Hatchery to have a more explosive turn 2 Smallpox, but there are matchups where that doesn't matter. And I would rather get a little bit of card selection than give myself the option to, Pox for 1 bug, or just develop the Saga or Wasteland without giving up anything else. Oh, Life from the Loam. Do I want that in my hand or in the graveyard? I think I want it in the graveyard. I can access it when I need it. That's the appeal. Old Underground Mortuary, Entomb. Feels good when I get to do that. Oh my god! I just let rip the biggest let's go in the chat. Okay. Alright, so... No! Let's not go. Okay, well, I think I should Dredge Loam before they get to draw a card, at least. And... Okay, that was pretty harmless. Alright, I think I take my medicine and just Wasteland this Hatchery while it's only good for 1. I have Bowmaster or Smallpox that can clear that out. It's about to get weird, folks. That Miser Spellbomb is certainly complicating things. Alright, I'll develop my Hatchery, which makes their Smallpoxes worse in the future. Hatchery and Passery. They'll probably surveil me in the end step, and the classic Orcish Bowmaster. You never really want to have the first one. Dump to Bayou. So the Spellbomb is in an interesting spot here because there's only 1 good hit in my graveyard. And if I cast Loam targeting Wasteland, do they want me to not Wasteland them? Or do they want to take a Wasteland and end up with Loam still active for me? Okay, so they just put another Hatchery in hand. They've tapped out of the possibility of Bowmaster this turn. Short of Mox Diamond plus sack the spawn, but I don't think they have that. Okay. Barragoyf. Man, I could just flip it here. Just start doing something completely different. Or I could Pox, which clears 2 mana, takes a card out of their hand. Yeah, I think I'm going to Pox, discarding Malevolent Rumble. Well, I'm going to attack first. That part's free. They're not going to block. I'm going to attack, then I'm going to Pox, discarding Malevolent Rumble and sacking Orc Army. Then play Urza Saga. All right, let's go. All right, discard Rumble. Sack Orc Army. Sack Eumidian Hatchery. 2 bugs. Opponent will have to decide if they want black mana or Saga ticking up, and they've gone for Saga, and I've also gone for Saga. Their Saga's ahead, but mine might do something. Mile Spellbomb for them. Ahead on resources for me. Awesome battle unfolding. There's a Hatchery. And unlike in blue-black decks, I don't care that much about their Bowmaster, because it's not like I'm drawing tons of cards. I'm going to Loam before combat. Or do I want to just develop Saga? If they get Pithing Needle turn off my Saga, I don't really like that. Okay, I'm just going to play a second Hatchery and attack. If they have Bowmaster, they could get multiple hits here. Okay, so this pings a bug, blocks my Bowmaster. Oh, you should ping a bug. Those fly. You can just block that with the Orc Army. Okay. Opponent said in the chat that they're on like 4 hours of sleep, so this is a complicated matchup to navigate under those circumstances. All right, so just in case this gets Pithing Needle, I am going to make the one construct I'm entitled to, but I think it's more likely it gets Mox Diamond and tries to move the game forward for my opponent, catch up on resources. But that only matters if there is both lands and something to spend 3 mana on in the hand. Or 4 mana. Yeah, Pithing Needle confirmed. Naming Grist, okay. One of my 2 Grists is in the graveyard, so I'm not... That doesn't hurt my feelings too bad. Alright, it's Spellbomb time. So they've decided to clear my graveyard of the Wasteland rather than try to catch the Loam, which means that this turn I can recoup. I can make another construct, and if I draw a land for turn, I could recoup the Saga immediately. Alright, well, they just found Grist after needling it. Awkward, so they're probably going to have to take Wasteland. Though they do have their land drop, so they might have just wiggled out of it. But my Loam is still here. And despite flipping 17 cards, they have not developed a Loam yet. Oh my god. Someday. Alright, well, Life from the Loam targeting Urza Saga. Play the Saga. I will collect my 2 points of flying damage I'm entitled to. If my opponent shoves a Barrogoyf, I'm not really good for that right now. I can chump it for a long time, but that's not how I want to do this. Witherbloom Command. Man, that's a nice one. Okay, so they get a land back. Do they want Wasteland? They do. Yeah, it's Wasteland or Saga. Like, either try to get on board yourself or keep trying to slow me down. Yeah, I think they are not doing the best at combat here. Like, I should only have 1 bug from the Bowmaster ETB, and then there's nothing to block here, so it should be attacking. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm 1 short of Hogak still. I think I just want a Loam for the full 3. Just don't try to bluff anything. Just fill my hand with cards. There's plenty of reasons to do that in the matchup. Attack with my bugs. Opponent's at 6, I'm at 13. I've got an engine, they don't. We both have hatcheries. Theirs is 1 turn ahead of mine. If they pox this turn, they will end up with more flyers than me. Or we actually end up with the same amount, because I sack one of the 2 I have, and then the 4 they get match the 3 I get, plus the 1 I already had. Okay, there's the combat. Black in the pool. Black in the pool. Smallpox it is. All right, party time. I'm obviously sacking Eumidian Hatchery. I'm going to discard Hogak, because it works from the graveyard just fine. Sack Bug. Sack Hatchery. Did they come up with a Hogak? That could flip it. If they get the Hogak first. Saga. Okay, I'm going to Dredge Loam just to feed Hogak. Saga ticks up. I don't think I want to develop another Hatchery this game. I'm going to play another Saga. I'm going to cast Hogak for the bare minimum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My whole graveyard's gone. And do I think Barrogoyf or a construct is better? Clearly Barrogoyf by a mile is the answer to that question. I'd attack with my bugs. I'm happy to deal 2 to them. I'm happy to trade 2 of their bugs off. Can't go wrong here. I think I'm ahead on enough metrics here that we're good. I have more life, more mana, more power, bigger power, trample, more cards in hand. Okay, cool. Yeah, that game basically came down to I had Loam and they didn't, or I was on the play and they weren't. A Barrogoyf is good. Haywire Might answers Urza Sagas. So does Force of Vigor. Saga is a main win con. Opponent and I are chatting about how the mirror probably isn't on the sideboard map when you develop a deck like this. But I actually think a lot of the cards are good and matter. Kind of Fatal Push is a little weak. Grist is a little slow, but if nothing else is going on, if we grind each other into dust and one person has an engine, even if it's just a Grist plussing every turn, that person will be ahead. Might just not want any smallpoxes. Is Fatal Push better than Smallpox? I'm not bringing life or like Leyline of the Void. I'm not interested in that. Okay, I could have one push still in. I could have one Toxic Deluge in case they get bug superiority. I could catch that up. I think Fatal Push taking out a Bowmaster before they could convoke to Hogak or a Clutch Construct that changes the entire texture of combat. Yeah, I think this Miser's Fatal Push is better than any number of Smallpoxes. Needle's weird because we have all the same cards. Like my opponent last game, needling Grist in the blind and then finding a Grist on the next turn is pretty awkward, but if your opponent has one of the things and you don't, turning it off could be game-changing. And on the draw, I think needling Wasteland is more likely to save me than kill me. All right, I am just going to turn the 4 Smallpoxes into 4 different cards. Literally any other card. All right, it's my turn to have the Spell Bomb. I'm not convinced Thoughtseize is good in this mirror either. Fatal Push not good in the mirror. Weird, weird, weird. I could just get Hatchery hatching. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Playing out the Spell Bomb this early is a little bit risky because a Witherbloom command could just pick it off when it's not actually blowing up their graveyard or drawing a card. Like my opponent just Witherbloom commands right now. It's not that strong for me, but I do want to spend my mana. I do want to develop Saga. I'm ready for that. And that card does not cast Witherbloom command. However, Mox Diamond does. All right, Barrowgoyf. Good thing I left in that one Fatal Push. This turn's going to be insane. Wasteland your Saga. Use that Revolt to kill Barrowgoyf. Oh, that's nice. A good exchange on the draw in the Pox Mirror. Ooh, was that it? Is that the whole plan? Opponent might be in trouble. I'm gonna fetch Bayou here and then exile their Mox Diamond. I think what they probably have is Orcish Bowmaster. It's either Bowmaster or nothing. Those are the only cards that they could have here. Yeah, just cook that thing immediately. I'm not bluffing anything. This is what I'm doing. Golgari Mirror. We just play our cards. Okay, so I forced them into having the first Bowmaster, and then I have 2 in my hand. My Bowmasters can control theirs. I have mana advantage. If I find another Wasteland, I can shit out 4+ bugs at any point in the future. Screw beats Flood, though. If they do start hitting land drops, we're going to know that all the cards in their hand are spells. Yeah, they found Wasteland. I don't think they're going to go for the Hatchery here. Do you try to mana screw me, or do you hold it for something clutch like Saga is actually really interesting? All right, I have enough mana to beat that. Basic Swamp, what's up? Okay, passing the turn to my opponent. If their hand is 3 Bowmasters, they're actually ahead here. All right, here they come. I will summon my Bowmaster. I'm going to shoot Orc Army and just assume that this is all going to work. Block. That saves me the ward, which could also let me spellbomb them and draw a card, though. If their hand is Loam, I don't want to accidentally unlock that. All right, I will bank a bug and then not crack spellbomb. The Barrowgoyf. Okay, if they have Bowmaster, they can kill my Bowmaster, whether it's in combat or not, so I'm just going in. There's nothing to play around there. I'll fetch basic Forest, just to stay solid, and now I have Barrowgoyf standing. I have Bowmaster to play around an Edict, or a Pox, which I suspect are not in my opponent's deck. And I think I'm about to gain 5 life, so I will just keep banking bugs in there. All right, let's go. Do they have Wasteland plus Fatal Push? Do they have Bowmaster to chump block? If they have Bowmaster, they just drew it. I think they have nothing, and I'm just going to run away with this game, though, based on how the last 3 turns have gone. Barrowgoyf connected. That's usually enough to end a game. Barrowgoyf milled 5, did not hit a creature, but I suppose I can live with that. Barrowgoyf is now 6/7. And we got the GGs. Nice. Okay. Game 1, really interesting, back and forth. Some cool stuff happened. Game 2, I basically just collapsed their engine on turn 2 and then had stuff to do after that, and they didn't, which, you know, Pox Mirror, sometimes it's not very interesting. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Receivables has it at youtube.com/thereceivables. I'm on the draw in round 4. This is no recoup engine, but with only 2 loams in my deck, I don't think I'm gonna be mulling to look for a recoup engine, but I have an accelerated saga, an accelerated grist, or I can ram a jam a smallpox. If my opponent does something like, Plains Ocelot Pride, I'm definitely just gonna smallpox. I don't know if I would smallpox into Underground Sea Tameo. I probably would. Wooded Foothills, that's suspicious. Wooded Foothills is not really played in decks other than Storm. What do I do with that information? I could just develop Saga here and sit on the Pox. I could Pox them just to kill their land if I think they're Storm. Like down 1 permanent mana source and card in hand could actually affect their calculations, but if they discard Echo of Eods, I could get bit back, or they could just not be that at all. Okay, I'm gonna go Saga, Mox Diamond, discarding Verdant Catacombs. I'm just gonna build resources like that. I am also showing Boseiju by doing this, which may or may not matter versus various shells, depending on, like, are they a Wishclaw Talisman deck? Do they play out a Lion's Eye Diamond too early in the chain and I can blow out 3 mana out from under them in a spot where they can't afford to crack it? Maybe they're just not Storm at all, I'm just going to take the safest, most stable route. Island. Wooded Foothills Island. What's going on over there? Whatever it is, I don't like it. I'm suspicious. If I play Verdant Catacombs, I'm open to Stifle, which maybe this is just 2008 Legacy player brain, but Wooded Foothills next to an island screams Stifle to me, like old school Rug Tempo. Rug Tempo, the Canadian Threshold, even before Delver was printed, used to play Wooded Foothills because it got all your Trops and Volks without telegraphing Stifle. But it became so common to do that Wooded Foothills started to telegraph Stifle more than any other fetch land. Tempo decks don't usually play basic island, though. I don't know what this is. Okay, I'm going to play Boseiju to play around Stifle. And if they're like Rug Dreadnought or something like that, Smallpox will cook the shit out of a 12/12 that costs multiple cards to get into play. Though I am completely shields down if they're a combo deck. This might just be Sneak and Show. And they have Wooded Foothills as an off-color red fetch land. I guess that's live. If that is what's going on, then I hope that they just like raw dog an Emrakul into my Edict. Okay, this might be Omni Show, Simic Omni Show, or Rug Show and Tell of some variety. Temur Cascade, the Rhino deck, the old Rhino deck from Modern, is occasionally, it's a fringe legacy playable deck. Simian Spirit Guide, okay. That does push us closer to maybe Rhinos, maybe Show and Tell. Both of those decks would play all of the cards that we've seen. Fascinating. Okay. Am I going to have to beat a Violent Outburst this turn? All right, making constructs. My constructs are going to be bigger than Rhinos. So if they are doing that, they're going to be bummed out here. I think I want to get Lava Spur Boots and just put the screws on them. And I'm going to Wasteland this green. Shardless Agent and Violent Outburst are both green spells, but they're not both red spells. Oh, look at this. Okay, is it Rhinos? Is Rhinos the payoff, or is there something else going on? Yeah, Crashing Footfalls. Okay. Deep format knowledge, unironically. A weird off-meta deck from a year and a half ago in a different format, and I identified it from the land drops they made. Oops, all spells could never. The Rhinos are currently 5/4s though, because of the flavor text on Violent Outburst. So I'm not going to offer a trade here. They would love that. I would rather just have bigger creatures and move the game forward. Okay, their mana's back. If they get 4 rhinos, they can out-rhino me. All right, well, Thoughtseize can determine if they have rhinos. I suppose that's good enough. I can't double spell because my mana's weird. But if they just make 2 more rhinos, I still have the biggest creatures, and I don't care. And then I can work through it over multiple turns. Brazen Borrower is really awful for me. That removes a rhino or removes a construct completely and then makes the other one too small. This deck has Boseiju and Fire Ice and like all of these cards you'd expect in it. Endurance is in there. Glorian Revealed. All right, Fire Ice, Force. Okay, I will take one of the Fire Ices and try not to die next turn. Though I am in trouble. I am in a lot of trouble. 18 damage. They can hit me for 12 right now and then finish me off. No, not quite finish me off. Yeah, they could reduce my life total significantly. The rhinos do trample, so if they have something like Boseiju or Brazen Borrower, they can attack large and in charge and just blow me out after blocks. Okay, they have decided this is their time to push. I go to 6, then they can put me to 2, and then they're out of attacks. Force of Negation does not counter Grist the Hunger Tide. If they can tap a construct, though, I am dead here. Okay, pass the turn and hope that their hand is just forces. I'm all in. Cycled Lorien revealed in the end step. That's good news. We know 3 of the 5 cards they're going to have access to, and there's 2 Fire Ices accounted for already. This is the turn that matters a lot, because if I can kill a rhino with Grist, then I'm not dead to a single removal spell anymore. I could also cast Smallpox, which might draw out the force, because I can sack an insect to that, and they lose a whole rhino. There's mana in the pool. Elvish Spirit Guide, okay, that's the phase of the game they're in. I'll take it. Do they want to blitz me down to 2 life and lose basically everything? I think that's a really bad attack. But I guess if Fire Ice is one of your live draws anyway, then just fire me for 2. Makes some sense. If I'm at 2, Eumidian Hatchery can't afford to grow at all. Smallpox to 1. Okay. I could see it. I could see the argument. Turns off Thoughtseize for the rest of the game. I do a lot of damage to myself, is I guess what I'm trying to communicate. Okay, I am going to... If I use an insect to kill a rhino, I block, take 2. Yeah, the insect is definitely more useful as a dead rhino than it is as an insect, and that's not even close. So we'll sack the insect, destroy a rhino. I might be tempted to Smallpox if they hadn't played out the Spirit Guide, but now they are wide enough around that I don't want to F around. Cycled Lorien revealed. Okay, so their hand is still 2 Force of Negations. There's probably 2 more Crashing Footfalls in their deck if they can cascade into them. All the removal spells I've listed. I do still die here to a Petty Theft. Yeah, I gotta get something going here. Okay, they don't have it. Orcish Bowmaster's potentially big. It does block really well. It gives me something irrelevant to chuck to a Smallpox. It gives me something irrelevant to chuck to a Grist. And if they slam Lorien Revealed this turn, they don't have a lot of draw cards in their deck because they can't play cards that cost less than 3. But Lorien Revealed would be a big one. It would kill a rhino outright. That's 4 triggers. All right, they're trying to wasteland me. That's fine. Float a green. That goes away. Wasn't using it. Still no attacks. I'm just going to drop out the Bowmaster. I'm not hiding or bluffing anything here. I'm just trying not to take 6 damage. Or do we have Force of Will? And that's still fine. It's a card I don't care about that's now out of their hand. And I can kill a rhino this turn. Sweet. Okay. Grist. Kill another rhino. I am no longer dead to a single bounce spell. I could just jam double Smallpox here. That's so bad. So I would end up with Grist. I could attack with both creatures, then double Smallpox. But if they counter one of the Poxes, that's really risky, actually. If they double block a construct, then 1 Pox. No, I like my position. I'm not trying to Smallpox here. All right, pass the turn. Let Grist do her slow work. The inevitable Hunger Tide. Oh no, something's happening. Okay, That one's okay. Creatures without trample I can live with. Another Grist. Okay, I can plus this one and then play the other one. I think that's worth it. I'm not doing anything else with mana. And this can kill the final Rhino right now. That also puts another creature in my graveyard, because that's what Grist counts as. I sack this bug, kill this Rhino, and attack with a 6/5. They don't have haste in their deck. I know their hand is 2 Force of Negations. If they make an all-out attack here to clear Grist, I get to eat a Spirit Guide, and they're at 1 on the backswing, which is dead to Smallpox. They're going face. Okay, so the card Violent Outburst could explain this attack. All right. We have full information here to operate with. Interesting. Okay, I'll plus. I can put Lava Spur Boots on the bug, but then I can't double Pox. So if I attack with everything here, or if I attack with just my constructs, and they figure I'll go to 1, then I can Pox, and I know their whole hand. All right. I'm going to attack with everything. Not the bug. I can't afford to move the boots over, even though I am aware of the play. I think it's very likely they just take the max here and hope they can tempo me out. Okay, bang. You force this, then I Pox again. Force pitching force. Ka-chow! Pox is in the deck to kill opponents at 1, primarily. Okay, that was sweet. This matchup's pretty scary, though. They do a lot very quickly, which is the opposite of what Pox wants to happen. I don't love using Fatal Push to answer half of a spell, but if half of that spell is worth 4 damage, I'll entertain the idea. Right, Pithing Needle is irrelevant. Nile Spellbomb, sometimes they have Murktide Regents, but that's not really the game I'm trying to sign up for. Or that's not how I'm going to control that, if I control that. Hogak is bigger than their stuff. I like that, but they are a deck with endurance. I have to respect that. Bowmaster actually does very little against them. It does convoke Hogak. That's kind of it. Thoughtseize is mediocre, because although they have 3 or 4 Crashing Footfalls in their deck, they have 8 or 12 ways to cast it that are largely interchangeable. Do I have time to rumble? Does Wither and Bloom Command do anything? All right. Yeah, I think Wither Bloom Command looks mediocre. They literally can't have non-creature, non-land permanents that cost 2 or less in their deck. Their creatures are all bigger than 3/1. Maybe the card Smallpox is actually worse than all of these. I can just play less of that, which could give me a command and maybe Nile Spellbomb just to respect the late game Murktide. Yeah, I just don't believe in Bowmaster. All right, Nile Spellbomb. I'm not happy it's in the deck, but here it is. Let's go. Well, I'm in. There are 2 copies of Void Mirror. On the draw, I don't really think it will be fast enough, but I'm going to try. Oh, no. Oh, they're just suspending Crashing Footballs. Deal. When they start spending mana on turn 1, it's so scary. Oh, wow. Well, against this hand, Void Mirror might be plenty fast. Catacombs will be good for a Surveil land. If this is backed by Force of Will, it's still too slow because I have 2 Void Mirrors. If it's backed by Rhinos this turn, I'm going to get run over. Mortuary. This is also sometimes a Blood Moon deck. I'd be surprised if they brought that in against me, though. All right, Saga on top. I like that a lot. And we will see what kind of fight we're going to have here, what kind of showdown we have to contend with. Void Mirror. In Besaiju's Petty Thefts, there's a million ways to remove this. But it did resolve, which means they can't Crashing Footfalls till they do something. And I expect a Surveil land here, which is wastable. I've actually never seen this open before. I've seen them suspend a Footfalls. Like, you gotta keep playable hands, and sometimes there's a Footfalls in them. But the Footfalls Pitch Spirit Guide suspend second Footfalls is... I just haven't seen that. All right, if they're dumping Shardless Agents, it means they don't have Void Mirror covered yet, because that card would otherwise be very good. And if I play the second Void Mirror this turn... Oh, wow. They missed a land drop. Okay. I'm going to Wasteland them, then play the other Void Mirror, and just let Urza Saga run its course without doing anything. Waste you. If they have bounce spell plus counter spell backup here, they could deal with the first Void Mirror. If they Besage me, that rules, because I get to ramp. All right, Petty Theft, confirmed. But they know I can just replay this thing. But they still don't know about the second one. All right, we're back. Nice, nice, nice. We might steal a challenging matchup due to powerful sideboard cards. Let's go. All right. It does occur to me seeing these two next to each other that you can't actually cast Hogak into Void Mirror because you can't cast mana to spend the spell. And whenever a player casts a spell, if no mana was spent on it, colored mana. And if you can't spend mana, then obviously it can't be colored. Interesting. Okay, maybe I should board out Gax when Void Mirrors come in. But we did it. Powerful sideboard cards kicking in against a slow hand from the opponent. We're on the rally. Final round coming. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw for the final round. Positive record on the line. I am going to keep this. I have Loam Wasteland Saga, which in fair matchups is pretty solid. Windswept Teeth is a good sign. Not if it immediately shoves Nomad, though. Okay, is this Cradle? Okay, this is probably Cradle control then. And please, Magic Gods, Mox Diamond. I mean, let's go. I don't know if you've ever smallpoxed a turn 1 Dryad Arbor before, but holy guacamole, this shit is over. I'll discard Urza's Saga, and it's actually better that I was on the draw this game. I said earlier that doesn't really happen for Pox, but the Smallpox is much more devastating, and I have more going on. Sylvan Safekeeper discarded. I still am sitting on Wasteland, or I could start loaming. All right, well, I'm not wasting that. Wasteland, Loam. If they have an Endurance, it's going to cost 2 cards, and the Loam is still there. I feel pretty good. I don't have an answer to the next thing. If they just cast White of the Reliquary here, that's not something I'm really ahead of. Keen-Eyed Curator. I will Dredge Loam. And I could just park Barrogoyf in front of this jerk. Yeah, I'm going to go Saga Barrogoyf. This thing might become a 7/7. It might trade off with the Barrogoyf, but it is going to be annoying to me for a while. But with Safekeeper, Dryad Arbor, Keen-Eyed Curator, this is clearly a Green Sun Zenith toolbox deck. The Bayou makes me think this is not Nadu, but something else. I'm not sure if Cradle Control plays Sylvan Safekeeper, though. So there's a little bit of texture here that maybe this is something like Maverick. Saga ticks up. Just going to play Bayou and attack. They can't exile enough cards that Barrogoyf has 0 power here. They can chump block. I'll take a Stone Rain. That's what my deck does. They'll probably exile Hogak in the end step plus Bayou. But if they fetch in on basic, like is there a third basic forest in this deck? You can't get Swamp with Misty Rainforest. Poor Hogak. I think he arrived once this league, and otherwise has been pretty bullied. A second Curator, wow. Alright. They got the hate in all the right places. But I am beating it, and I have Pithing Needle in my deck that if they don't respond to correctly here, their Curators will curate nothing. Construct. Alright, Moment of Truth. I'll make a Construct, still holding up Wasteland. Pithing Needle and Keen-Eyed Curator. Keen-Eyed Curator. Now I can loam with impunity. I think I want to get my Surveil land going here. I still like the Wasteland. I feel like Natural Order is a card I could still lose this game to. Yeah, just double block, lose everything. Oh, I should have fetched. I should have surveilled. This was 5/6. And if I just randomly hit the other Grist, it could have been 6/7. Alright, mistakes were made. End step fetch. Upkeep. I'm going to Wasteland here. I have Loam in my hand. They're out of Graveyard Hate. I'll put a Wasteland wherever I can put one here. Nice. Okay. Yeah, Smallpox versus a deck with Mana Dorks is exactly what we signed up for. Fatal Push, Toxic Deluge. 2 Keen-Eyed Curators. I don't think this is Cradle Control. I think we're playing against Maverick. Or some sort of just fair green toolbox deck. I can get lower on Thoughtseize versus a deck like this. I don't need Nile Spellbomb. Orcish Bowmaster. It's good with Hogak We've seen Noble Hierarch, it could kill those. It could provide annoying pressure versus something like Sylvan Safekeeper, but I also don't expect my opponent to draw a ton of cards. Those cuts get all my removal in. Can I get this other Barrowgoyf going? Do I even want Hogak versus the double Keen-Eyed Curator, very likely Endurance setup? If this is a deck like Abzan Maverick, they might even just have access to Karakas. I don't know. All right, I'm going to trust in Barrowgoyf more than I trust in Hogak here, but there is still a Gak. All right, Witherbloom Command on turn 1, cooking a Noble Hierarch or a Dryad Arbor would be insane. Definitely keeping this. So their turn 1 plays are Mana Dorks or Thoughtseize, and there's a Dork. Opponent is already in trouble. Verdant Catacombs, fetch for Bayou, Mox Diamond, discard Ghost Quarter. Witherbloom Command, -3/-1, and I will mill 3. I did chat with Jacob a little bit at Eternal Weekend, and he said Witherbloom Command was the best card in his deck, and I believe it. Lair of the Hydra. Another Hierarch. Oh, baby. All right, well, here is one of the Thoughtseizes that's still in my deck. Force of Vigor, 2 Guys Cradles. All right, it is just Cradle Control with double, whatever that card was, Keen-Eyed Curator. All my homies hate Reanimator. Life from the Loam, Get Back, GQ, Beseju, and I think I actually just... No, the fetch land is still, or the Surveil still on the deck. I was going to say I'll just take the Forest because I'm almost out of fetchables, but there is one very important vegetable still in there. And they can get some anemic but steady beats here. Wake up Lair of the Hydra for 2, attack me for 3. White of the Reliquary. Or just spike that one. Okay. Can I find a creature to deal with white before it's too late? I'm not going to Dredge Loam. I'm good on that. Wasteland is definitely better than Ghost Quarter. I'll play Wasteland, I'll play Grist. And I'll pass. I can cook this Lair of the Hydra. They have Cradle Cradle 1 unknown. If it's a big Zenith or Natural Order for Atraxa, that could get ugly. It's Once Upon a Time, so we're going to have perfect info to play this turn with. A second white. Scary. Okay, here's this. There's a Cradle. I kind of just have to block. I mean, I'm going to lose this thing anyway. Block. And I do need to find some removal spells, or this game is going to spiral out. Okay, draw for turn. Seize, unhelpful. Okay, I will activate Grist first. I don't have a Dryad Arbor. There's nothing that could get a bonus creature into play here. That's a bug. And I'm going to fetch for the Surveil land. We spiked Hogak, though Grist counts as not a creature on the battlefield. It would be sick if you could use Grist to convoke, but you cannot. That's the one place you can't do that. Well, Hogak goes into the graveyard. It's sweet that I did hit the one of I was potentially discussing that might be a little bit useful. However, it won't be, actually. Grist is on 5 now, which means opponent would have to give up some creatures to kill her in combat, but it doesn't actually need to kill her. Well, I'm going to waste this before they can flip it into something else. That's what they were doing. They were trying to make that a creature so they could rotate it into something else, but I want that to cost an actual creature if they're doing it. Bajuka Bog clears Hogak and Life from the Loam. Yeah, I'm behind. Check their hand, and then on the next 2 turns, White of the Reliquary showed up. A Toxic Deluge stabilizes this. Barrowgoyf could help, though if they have the Talon Gates of Madara in their deck, they might be able to get through Barrowgoyf. I can block in a way that Grist survives this combat, unless they want to sacrifice the other white to push through on Grist, but I would trade Grist for a white. That's what I've been trying to do ever since I cast Grist. Grist goes to 1. Bayou, their hand is Gaia's Cradle. Yo, well, there's that one. Okay, plus Grist. Hit Life from the Loam. Magic is too easy. Too easy. I'll play Ghost Quarter, and I will summon the Mighty Barrowgoyf, and I will give it Lava Spur Boots, and let's take our trade here. This actually kills both whites, because if they double block, they just take Death Touch damage. If they block with one, sack the other. Death Touch kills the first one. Yeah, they might just have to take it here. Or start chumping. Okay. that works the other way. Okay, so they can take 0 while surviving. Sure. Okay, I will pass the turn. I could have Ghost Quartered that Dryad Arbor before White of the Reliquary is online. Yeah, I probably should have done that, actually. All right, block. They have 1 tutor available, and now they have a card in hand, which could be Endurance. I have to at least think about that. I will Dredge Loam now. My opponent does not have a sorcery in the graveyard, so this actually matters. Plus Grist. All Thoughtseize. I can afford it. Oh, look at that. Look at that. All right, tucking my stuff, which was all lands and an enchantment, so Barrowgoyf did get smaller there. Yeah, no sorcery, just checking. So I can make Barrowgoyf 5/6 here. I'm going to quarter the Dryad Arbor, because that's the easiest block for them. Let's flip that into something. Is it Talon Gates? Sure is. There's a war trigger, but it doesn't matter. They can afford it. Right, that fades out. Life from the Loam, target Ghost Quarter. And then, oh, interesting. The equipment fades out too. I did not know that that's how that works, but cool. All right. Yeah, I guess it's just, is it being represented strangely on Magic Online? Or is that how it works? Like, is this Barrowgoyf faded out with Boot Spell still on it? I think it is. Interesting. Cool. All right, Sylvan Safekeeper is just another idiot they could sacrifice. Grist dies here regardless. Oh, opponent's attacking me with white. Okay, then I will block. Okay, Barrowgoyf returns with Lava Spur Boots on it. I will Dredge Loam. Hit Eumidian Hatchery. That's something we can do. And there's a sorcery in the graveyard already. Okay, I will declare my combat. They can do the chump flip thing. Jump flip thing confirmed. Wasteland is in there. All right, so I want to... This is 7, 8, 9, 10. They're very close to killing me here. I suppose I loam back Hatchery. Do I do something else first? I won't be able to... Well, Barrowgoyf can gain life. Right, I will loam back Hatchery. Do I want to Boseiju first? I don't think so. I could Boseiju their Wasteland. I don't want to thin lands out of their deck, and if they have an Underground Mortuary, I don't want them to have access to it. Okay, I will cast Life from the Loam, and then just play Ghost Quarter. All right, they've done a really good job tempoing me out here. I need them to miss on... I don't even know what I need here. I need to stop attacking with Barrowgoyf, is what I need. And if they have a second Talon Gates, I just lose anyway. This attack could put me to 1, if they want it to. All right, I'm at 2. Spooky. I don't think I can afford to Dredge Loam. I need to just draw an actual spell. That's a good spell. Pithing Needle naming White of the Reliquary is huge here. White of the Reliquary has been declared, and now if I attack, they can jump here, or they could just take 6 and see what happens. If I go to 8, I can Eumidian Hatchery, go to 7, Ghost Quarter Eumidian Hatchery, have 1 blocker, and take 6. All right, I'm attacking with Barrowgoyf. And if I mill and hit a creature, that's blocks. Okay, now they're ready to just take the trade. Good call. Eumidian Hatchery, here. Not great, but here. Present. Yeah, I guess I was just supposed to leave that back on blocks. It wasn't even good. Keen-Eye Curator, my nemesis. Okay, so I can only ever put 1 counter on this Eumidian Hatchery. So I might as well do it now. Okay, I'm going to Ghost Quarter that. I get 1 bug, which saves me 3 life. And from 4 life, I can't even do the Toxic Deluge if I draw it. Okay, yeah, that White of the Reliquary was awesome. Just had 1 creature every turn to push through it just long enough. That turn where I did not... Yeah, the turn I didn't Ghost Quarter Dryad Arbor may have cost me the game, because that Dryad Arbor let them get Talon Gates. And then it was too late. Okay, so this really cool back and forth game, Golgari value back and forth, and just 1 small mistake, like 4 turns ago, probably did actually cost it. All right, they played out the second Gaia's Cradle. Might as well Boseiju that. This game is not going to go much longer, and if I have a chance, it involves them not having Gaia's Cradle. They'll probably just exile my graveyard in response here. Not that it matters. I don't have an Ensnaring Bridge or any such thing. Drawing my last Barrogoyf here might buy me a turn and kill their Keen-Eyed Curator, but this thing tramples, so I think it might even be too late for that. Okay, GG. That was a sweet one. Alrighty. Does anything change here? I don't think so. A Bowmaster being a body that I could sacrifice to Grist would have mattered that game. Is there any card that's worse than that? I don't think so. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing here. They do have a lot of hate for Hogak, but if it does arrive, it's really big. On the play, I could bring in another Thoughtseize, I guess. I'm out on all that shit. Same deck, let's get him. Oh no, a one-lander. Sad. Got him all again. This hand would be pretty nice otherwise. Deck, please. My family is starving. There's only one Hogak. There's 26 lands. Alright, I guess I'm going to 5. A Life from Loam can turn around a mull to 5, and we do have it. Okay, keep. Gotta put 2 away. I actually need Mox Diamond to function here. Oh, this is tough. I could put away Thoughtseize, then I have no counterplay. I could put away Barrogoyf, then I have no interaction with their plan. So I need Mox Diamond plus at least one other land. So I think here I'm bottoming Wasteland, and then either Barrogoyf or Thoughtseize. If these lands made green, I just wouldn't need Mox Diamond, and I would curve Thoughtseize into Saga and just do it on the slow, but that is not the hand that I have. Okay, Wasteland's definitely going, and I think just shoving a turn 2 Barrogoyf is going to have to be good enough. All right, done. All right, Swamp, Diamond, discard Saga, Loam. This is my whole plan. Endurance slows me down a little bit, but I would just dredge Loam and move forward. Bayou. All right, not a Thoughtseize. Is a Noble Hierarch. I am going to dredge Loam, because I want this Barrogoyf to actually have stats when I cast it. Force of Vigor would be fucked up here. Oh no, there's a pause. There's a pause! Okay, no, there wasn't a pause. Not a real one. Okay, Barrogoyf. This is one way to fight creature decks. Just have a bigger creature. If they hard cast Endurance next turn during combat, nobody would have anything in the graveyard and Barrogoyf would just die. So I have to navigate that using my Loam or just have a fetch land ready. Ooh, all right. A little late, but there it is. Like if they had just killed those things in response to Urza's trigger, but now we have a 5/6 Goyf. If they have a removal spell, if they just cast Endurance, they could get away with it. But I just have a 5/6 versus their board of small shit. Draw Forest. Oh, all right. This could work. Okay, I'm going to attack. We're in. Big hits. This is for 5. Pay me out. All right, I hit Grist. I'll take any card here. And then I have a risky line, but I think I have to take it. I didn't mill my basic forest, did I? No. Okay. Well, the line here is float black, Ghost Court on my own land, get forest. All right, float black, get forest, cast Loam, get back Saga, Bayou, Verdant Catacombs. Okay. I mean, I'm behind that. Like, this is a deck that can catch up to a 5/6 Barrogoyf. I'm just going to hope that they don't. And I don't need to dredge Loam. I need to impact the board from here. Wasteland played around it. Oh no. Zenith for 2. The Curator starts getting nasty here. Or they could get white and just go bigger. Curator exiling Loam. Doesn't change the size of Barrogoyf. Mox Diamond, get fucked. Let's go. Okay. I'm gonna attack. They can't pitch Endurance here because there's only one card in their hand. They're not gonna block because they need this thing. Come on, hit good cards. Mill 5. Orcish Bowmaster, that works with Grist. Right, I will take that, and I can't play around Wasteland completely here. Yes, I can. Okay. Verdant Catacombs, play Mox Diamond, discard Bayou, Orcish Bowmaster to kill Noble Hierarch. Just trying to collapse any part of their engine that I can. And then if Grist can take out this Keen-Eyed Curator next turn, that's something. One card in their hand. After playing Verdant Catacombs, they can make Curator 7/7 here and impact the size of Barrogoyf. I will not be blocking. I have 26 life. This is not the fight I'm fighting. End step, get the Surveil land. I don't mind if that gets wasted. Another Saga. Nope, still trying to impact the board. Like Fatal Push is the type of thing I'm looking for here. Another Barragoyf. I won't complain. Okay, I'll play Saga, see if they jam off the Wasteland. I know they have access to the Talon Gates if they want to save their Curator. They can also Bojuka Bog. Right, I'm going to use Grist to try to kill Curator here. If they do save this with Talon Gates, then Reclaimer will be tapped and I have a big swing that can come through. All right, they're just exiling some stuff in response. They could exile 2 things and still rotate. All right, just exiling 1 thing. Yep, Talon Gates to save it. That's fine. Get a big attack through, get a big mill. Oh god. Oh, Dryad Arbor. Okay, that's fine. I still gain the life. Or they could trade off with Bowmaster, but I think they want the life. Okay, so Grist will die here. Keen-Eyed Curator is thriving. My Kingdom for Fatal Push. Right, they're taking out Grist. They can exile 3 things right now, which can get to 7/7 mode. All right, they use the Wasteland. They can still exile 3 things with the land drop. Barragoyf is 7/8. That's so big. What I hope to do this turn is convince them to trade off their Keen-Eyed Curator for Barragoyf in combat, then just play the second one and ride that one to victory. They can Bojuka Bog here, but that costs 2 mana, and then they have 1 mana left to curate with, and we both have graveyards. White Other Reliquary, okay. That's interesting. Wowie zowie, that's the card I wanted. All right, how do we do this? Opponent has 3 card types under Keen-Eyed Curator. They do not currently have the mana to do other shit. They can make it 7/7, block make it 7/7. I don't want it available in combat to block. I'm going to push Keen-Eyed Curator and then attack with Barragoyf. And it's going to cost them 1 of their creatures to survive this combat. I guess they could technically go to 1. They could even double block and just take out Barragoyf at the cost of everything. That's a deal. All right. Second Barragoyf in my hand. Nobody can ever beat the second Barragoyf. Noble Hierarch's not it. Feel pretty good, team. Oh, baby. What about the third Barragoyf? Barragoyf's so dumb. I know I've been saying that basically since Modern Horizons 3 came out, but you know, who needed the biggest creatures I've ever seen with 2 relevant combat keywords, and it's an Ophidian. Hatchery. All right, are we just going to trade off white again, or are we going to try to get a tempo game going with some chump blocks? Trading off the white, and boy, is that frustrating. Another one. All right, well, they have more whites in their deck. They've Zeniths to get them. If they get a white, they're actually stable. I'm out of Barragoyfs. And they had enough. Okay, my third thing beat their third thing. Cool. Positive record after a tough start to the league against 2 difficult matchups with tons of mana that were really good at getting ahead of our mana squeeze. And then we played against other decks with more typical resource development of the current legacy, and we're able to take control. Obviously, I love Loam Pox. The viewers of the channel love Loam Pox. This has been the quiet secondary deck. There's Island Ponder Keep, and then there's Loam Pox, #PoxLife. Those are the 2 things I'm about on this channel. And I actually think there's a huge technological development here of playing only 2 Loams and then a bunch of ways to passively mill yourself. Like Rumble, Command, Barragoyf, and Grist all passively mill yourself, and then you can find a Loam eventually. Where my typical Loam Pox deck building is, we need Loam. We want access to Loam. Play 4. Play 6 if you think you could get away with it. But access to Loam can mean a lot of things, and it doesn't always mean having Life from the Loam in your hand. Really cool innovation in a shell that you would think is mostly solved, like hard to, you can fiddle with your flex slots, like what do you want to fall out of your Urza Saga, how much, and what removal spells you want to play. Those are kind of things you could always do in any deck, but to fundamentally change the approach of how many Loams we put into Loam Pox, this is the name of this deck, and there's only 2 copies, and it felt okay throughout this entire league. That was very smart deck building by Jacob at Eternal Weekend. I'm going to sign this one off. Another day, another Pox League. Everyone, thanks for watching. Jacob, once again, congrats for being the hero Legacy needed in the top 8 of Eternal Weekend this year. Shout out to Legacy of the North and Jim Monolith. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and I'll see you next time.